Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Kevin Bokicki YouTube channel. Today, we are breaking down the Notre Dame Fighting Irish win at home on Senior Day against Syracuse by a score of 70-7. That's right. Notre Dame put up 70 points at home. They nearly got the shutout if it weren't for a late Syracuse touchdown. The most dominant Notre Dame performance I've ever seen in my entire life. The most points that Notre Dame has put up in a single game in almost 100 years, and the worst loss in the history of Syracuse football. Absolute domination. Notre Dame put up 21 points before their offense even took the field with about 7 minutes left in the first quarter. They put up 35 points in the first quarter, which is the most that they've ever had in their program's history. And this was an absolute statement win. It's against a Power Five opponent. Granted, Syracuse is 3-8, and without their starting quarterback, Steve Angeli, who used to play at the University of Notre Dame. He's out for the year with an injury. And this was, I guess you could say a cupcake game for Notre Dame. And this is going to be one of those games that a lot of the haters are going to say, doesn't matter. Notre Dame's overrated. They shouldn't be ranked this high. They always play easy opponents. They always play Power 5 opponents. They very rarely, if ever, play FCS opponents. And they get the job done. This was a team that had two very early and close losses to two very good teams, Miami and Texas A&M. Now Texas A&M is undefeated and ranked number 3 in the country, and Miami is still in contention for an ACC title. There's still a chance that they could make the championship game, although they do need some outside help. But I think that this is really going to signify Notre Dame as one of the best teams in the country right now. I mean, what they were able to do defensively, they started off the game with a 44-yard pick six by Jalen Stroman. Then he blocked a punt, and they returned it 22 yards for a touchdown. That made it 14-0. And then Leonard Moore had a 46-yard pick six, and this was all before the Notre Dame offense even took the field. And then Jeremiah Love put up the game of his life and had his, you could say, Heisman moment, as he only carried the ball 8 times, but he had 171 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, averaging 21.4 yards per carry. I have breaking news for you. Jeremiah Love is your Heisman Trophy winner. He is the best running back in the nation, and even with a 1-2 punch with him and Jadarian Price, had 4 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown that went 58 yards. He might not have all of the statistics that he needs, but that is just because for 2 reasons. One, he's still splitting some reps with Jadarian Price, who's had a great year as well. And 2, they blow out a lot of their opponents, so Jeremiah Love isn't even in the game for that long. And he's always capable of just breaking away and scoring a big touchdown when you need it most. We, of course, think back to the Indiana playoff game last year. Jeremiah Love is, in my opinion, the best player in college football and deserves to be rewarded as such. And there's going to be a lot of debate coming out of the next college football playoff ranking show. There's going to be a lot of discussion. Should Notre Dame be ranked above Alabama? Should they even be ranked above Miami? And my take on that is Miami did beat them in a close game in week 1. If these two teams played right now, Notre Dame would win. Notre Dame is a better team than Miami, and Miami has lost some brutal games. And the only 2 games that Notre Dame has lost again has been to Miami and Texas A&M, who, as I mentioned, is the number 3 team in the country. Now, I do think that playing head to head matters, and I do think that who you beat matters as well. But if you look at the season as a whole, you can't, in good faith, look me in the eyes, look at me at all four of my eyes, and say that Miami is a better football team than Notre Dame. Miami's not hanging 70 points on anybody. And this is, you can love or hate Notre Dame, and they frustrate me. They tend to play down to their competition. They didn't have, they lost their first two games, and they've now won 9 in a row. They almost had that hiccup against Boston College, which would have been unacceptable, but they got the job done. And now they play a crappy Stanford team on the road, who I think that they're going to absolutely manhandle and dominate. And they should finish the season 10-2 with 2 losses to 2 really good teams. And where they're going to end up in the ranking, I don't know. But Notre Dame has proven this season that they are one of the best teams in college football, and they deserve to be in the playoffs. So I don't want to argue with people on this, but Notre Dame really stepped up, and they really proved how good they are. And I think that they're going to be in a position where they can beat pretty much any team. Ohio State hasn't really played a whole lot of teams. Obviously, they're great. They haven't played high level competition. And last year they obviously beat Notre Dame in the national championship game. But I say bring it on to any team in the country. There isn't a team in the country that I'm scared of. I'm not scared of Indiana. We beat them last year. I'm not scared of Texas Tech. I'm not scared of Texas A&M. I know that they played a great game, but I believe that my apologies, Marcus Freeman is a good enough head coach that he'll be able to look at the game film from that week 2 loss and see where they went wrong, and we'll be able to fix the mistakes and get the job done against Texas A&M. And even still, Texas A&M would probably be the only team in the playoff that Notre Dame would have to worry about because they beat them this season. They haven't played Ohio State, although they beat them they got beat by them last year. I say bring it on. I say Notre Dame against the world. I would take them against anybody. The only thing that I think that this team really struggles with, obviously, is their place kicker. Their kicking game is not good, and when you score 70 points, it's really hard to nitpick and say that certain areas of your team need work. But the only thing that didn't really get resolved was the kicking game. He made all their extra points, but they didn't kick any field goals. And I think it's more of a disrespect to try and put the your foot on the brakes and try and kick field goals and try and improve a part of your team that you're not too strong with, and kind of forget about the result of the game. Like, if we don't score here, doesn't matter. We're already up by a big margin. Let's just try and kick these field goals and try and just see where our kickers. I think that's more disrespectful than just, hey, we gave the ball to Jeremiah Love and he scored a touchdown. He ran the ball and they weren't able to stop him. So, but Notre Dame, I think, is going to be one of the teams to beat in the college football playoff. They're playing their best football at the right time of the year. And I think that they're about to put the world on notice, and they're about to make another deep playoff run. But that does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, please hit that like button. Please subscribe as well. Hit the notification bell so you know when I post. Make sure you leave a comment, whether it be positive or negative, on your thoughts on the video. And we'll see you next time.